Hello, hello, and welcome to the stream. Today, I'm going to be talking about how I sold $1.5 million and beat the director of sales, beat the founder of the agency that I was working at, and became the top sales guy. Basically, my journey from junior salesperson all the way up to director of marketing, how it happened, how we closed $1.5 million in deals, and how we've now put it all together into something special for you. That's what I want to talk about today. We're also going to do an open Q&A on sales and selling and closing and everything like that. Also wanted to let you know, this is also live on Twitter. I see some people are on the Twitter space. I see some people are here on the YouTube space. Happy to be here with you all. And let me know before we get started, can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? I see some people coming in the Twitter space. If you guys want to talk, I'm going to do my thing first, tell my story, and then if you guys want to ask questions, we're going to do that later. If you want to hop on Twitter as well, you can do that if you want to call in later. So let's talk about it. How did I sell $1.5 million and beat my director of sales? Well, let me tell my sales journey right now. My sales journey started when I was in college. I was in college in Florida, and I really wanted to become an entrepreneur. And the more I thought about it, the more that I realized that people would pay for marketing, people would pay for sales more than anything else. All businesses need marketing. All businesses need sales. And so if I could get good at those, I would end up in a great spot. So I started with restaurant sales, basically walking into restaurants trying to sell them copywriting. That did okay. Then I learned about cold email. Cold email, as you guys know, is reaching out to people that you don't know and trying to get them to buy from you or do whatever you want them to do. So I did cold email, and I ended up getting a job in New York City for this startup. Startup was kind of like a Groupon clone. I don't even know if I can use that anymore because people don't even know what Groupon is. But basically, I was cold calling 7 to 8 hours a day, local businesses, all day. Cold calling all day, these local businesses, trying to pitch them on joining our platform. And that taught me a lot. It taught me the basic thing about sales, which is if you reach out, if you contact enough customers, you will succeed eventually. The more people I called, the more people got listed on the platform. And it wasn't the most exciting job in the world. In fact, I thought that I wanted to do marketing more than sales calls because I would sit there and I was actually the only salesperson in the office. Everyone else was doing other jobs and it was like a little WeWork and I was the only one calling, but we were moving the numbers and we moved the numbers more with the cold calls than we did with cold email, than we did with any sort of marketing tactic. And so I realized then that cold calls were key. I also realized I hated it so much that I had to quit my job and decided to set off on my own as an entrepreneur marketing consultant. So I quit my job there, tried to go into marketing on my own, didn't really understand that cold calling and cold email was the way because I didn't do it. I was basically trying to build my first agency off referrals and off of friends, and I did okay. I made it, a couple $1,000s, like nothing in my first month. And eventually that business fell apart and I had to get another job. I had 3 months of doing that. And then I had to go get another job. And the way I got another job was cold email and going to events again, meeting people in New York City, making it happen. And I was very lucky to bump into this guy who's a mentor of mine to this day, Tom Tancredi, founder of this agency in New York City. And they sold software and mobile app development and all this sort of stuff. They were about a 40-person company, had a 4-man sales team, so 10% of their team was sales. And it was 2 junior guys, it was the director of sales, and then the 2 founders were all doing sales full-time. And what I did there was I realized pretty quickly that all of the other guys on the team that have been there longer were going to take all of the great deals. And I saw it happen. I saw a good inbound lead would come in and then it would be shoved off to this guy who'd been there for a couple of years, or another lead would come in and the director of sales would take it himself instead of sending it to the sales guys like us. And it just made me realize that if I wanted to make this happen, if I wanted to actually beat them in terms of getting past their numbers and becoming the number one salesperson on the team, I had to figure out a way to book myself solid. And so what I ended up doing was a couple things. One, I started generating leads for the agency itself. I made sure that we were listed on Clutch. I started answering Quora questions. I did a lot of the soft stuff, a lot of the social media content. But what I also did, and the thing that maybe moved the needle more, was I started cold emailing customers. I started following up with literally every lead they would give me. I started hosting a meetup and meeting every single person that I could every single month at the meetup and trying to pitch them. And that's all I did. Consistently follow up, consistently pitch, and book myself solid. That was the number one thing I wanted to do, was book myself solid. And I did it eventually. Now, there's a couple keys there when it came to booking myself solid. One, I had to make sure that I was talking to a lot of people, right? You want to book yourself solid, you got to talk to a lot of people. I was talking to at least 200-300 people a week. Every time I went to that meetup, I would meet every single person in the room. And that was maybe 30-35 people in that room. And I would shake all their hands, I'd introduce myself, and I would try to pitch them. I'd try to figure out if they needed web development, if they needed mobile apps, whatever they needed. All right, so I started doing that. The other thing that really helped was networking inside the company. So I went out to the director of web, who was the guy running the web design for the business. And I asked him, what sort of websites do you want to build? And I got him to tell me all about his past. He used to do website design for music festivals. He loved music festivals. And so I took that, and then I talked to the director of iOS, the director of mobile. And I asked him what he wanted to do. And he loved gaming, mobile gaming. So what I did with all of that information is I did outbound campaigns for each of those. So for the director of web, I was going out to music festivals and pitching those kind of guys, trying to see if we can develop websites for them. For the director of iOS, I was trying to pitch mobile games. We actually pitched a few games for major movies and stuff like that, based on just what they wanted to do. And that wasn't just outbound. That was inbound as well. That was us talking to our current clients and me pitching internally as well. So for instance, there was one client that had a bunch of major intellectual property, like they owned a bunch of TV shows. So for them, I sent them a cold email, right, to somebody else in a different department that we hadn't worked with that I thought would be interested in mobile gaming. And guess what? They were down, and we were able to send out a proposal for that. So internal networking. The other thing I did was managing up. So I asked Tom, who was the founder of the company. I asked the other founders at the company. I even asked the director of sales. I said, hey, what would it take to become a great salesperson here? And I asked how he measures the sales team, because I wanted to figure out, does he measure the sales team based on lead measures or lag measures? Lead measures are things that were in my control, things like number of calls made or number of emails sent. Lag measures are things that are not in my control. Not in my control, things like revenue generated or number of meetings attended. And what I found out was the entire sales team at this, 8-figure agency, whatever it was, not 8-figure agency, the entire sales team at this $7 million a year agency was completely managed based on lag measures. It was based on how many sales have you made this quarter, and really how many sales have you made this year. So what I was able to do then was take complete carte blanche, complete freedom of my time, because I realized I was just going to get measured based on that sales number. So I stopped going into the office half the time. I started taking more coffee meetings in person. I started doing all of that, and it allowed us to make a much bigger impact. Half of our sales, maybe a third of our sales came from in-person meetings. Not people coming to us, not us doing Zooms. It was literally me and some other people on the team getting on planes and flying to Los Angeles, flying to Oklahoma, to Chicago to make these deals happen, and leaving the office to go outside to meetings, booking dinners, booking lunches. All this stuff was not standard at the time for the sales team, but it was stuff that I did. Now, The other thing I did was start pulling in everybody else's proposals. So the next major thing I wanted to talk about was partnerships. Partnerships with the other members of the team. What I found out is there were a couple people on the team that were like, mid 40s. They've been selling for a long time, and I don't want to say they were lazy. I think they understood that their time was worth more than doing proposals and doing the low totem pole work. So I was able to partner with them and get pieces of their commission in exchange for doing all the legwork, in exchange for writing proposals, or even a lot of times sending follow-up emails for them and taking over a lot of their accounts. And what I also found, what happened, is those guys that were too lazy to do their job, a few of them quit. There was turnover, and who was there to pick up the slack of those accounts? The person that had the relationship, the person that had been doing all of that heavy lifting, or that junior lifting in the background. So I was able to grab a lot of accounts there. And then as the team saw what I was capable of, eventually they started kicking me the big deals as well. Tom and some of the other people in the senior leadership team started trusting me more and started kicking me more and more of these deals as they came through. So with that in mind, I was able to write more proposals than everybody else, take more meetings than everybody else, and I was asking for, 6-7 figure deals. So that allowed me to relatively quickly, within a year, sell $1.5 million, beat the director of sales, beat the founders because they were both kicking me deals that they probably should have taken on their own. That allowed me to do all of that. And now what I've done is I wanted to help everyone else do the same thing that I did. So I've now created a course called Salesman X. It's a system that goes through exactly how you can do the same thing. And it's not just BS theory. Inside Salesman X, which you can get at salesmanx.com, inside Salesman X, you're going to see live cold calls. We have 2 hours of live cold calling. We have a crash course on cold email. We have a crash course on how to exactly write the proposals. I show you the exact proposal that landed I think it was a $125,000 deal. We have video of me closing these deals via email and via phone, all of that. We've got that in the course. And also step-by-step strategy that includes things like, what email do you send your boss to figure out whether he does lead measures or lag measures, how he measures you as a team? What email do you send the internal people on your team in order to actually network with them and get them to send you deals? What emails and what communication, how do you frame asking the senior sales guy to let you meet with his clients to get testimonials for the business? All of that is inside Salesman X, which you can get right now as a pre-order for $247. It's 40% off of what it's eventually going to end up being. It's going to end up being more than $400 for this course. So if you want to change your life, you want to become the top salesperson on your team, then I highly recommend joining Salesman X today. Now's the time to join. If you want to change your life, you want to become the top salesperson on your team, hop in now, because now's the time to join. You can join right now at salesmanx.com. Now, I have been talking a lot. I'm going to do a full Q&A. You're about to see it. But first, I'm going to give you a couple minutes. I'm going to go get a drink of water, and I'll be back in about 2 minutes. So I'll see you guys in a second. Hop in now, salesmanx.com. Okay, all right. We are back. That was a good break. Now, okay, we're back. Now, let's do a full Q&A. Let me know either on Twitter. I see some requests, so we can have one of you guys in. And then in the meantime, also on YouTube chat, we can talk sales. We can talk whatever you want. So I'm going to approve one of you. Man's not hot. All right, let's go. By the way, if you want to join the chat, you want to join the space, I'll also link it down below in this video. Hey guys, how's it going? Man's not hot. What's up, bro? You got a question? All right. I'll also approve Kilber. Kilber, are you here? Let's get some sales questions going. Kilber, are you here? Okay.
Hi Alex, how is it going, man?
Hey, going good. Do you have a question about sales or selling or anything?
Yup, yeah, like I'm trying to sell my website design slash funnel designs to like big companies. Like how can I pitch them? Like, and who should I target? Like who should I speak to?
How can you sell website design to big companies and who should you speak
Yeah, like
to?
the golden geese companies you talk about.
Yeah, of course. So, how to sell website design to large companies and who should you speak to? One, you got to figure out what the benefit of your website design is. Are you a conversion rate optimization, conversion focused website design guy? Are you one of these artistic website branding, soft skill type of website design guys? I would figure out what your positioning is. The second thing is if you want to sell to a high ticket. You want to sell high-ticket websites. So I've sold a $50,000 website, all right? The company that purchased it was a financial services firm, and they were just about to open, like very sweet spot type of financial services firm. That was a recommendation from one of the more senior guys on the team. And the way that he was, so the way that we sold them was they were a bunch of senior guys that wanted to protect their brand. So by working with us and spending $50K, they were getting a guaranteed good website, right? They could hire somebody on Fiverr to build a $500 website, but if they do that, is that going to be good enough for them to raise $1 billion fund? I don't know. It sounds kind of embarrassing to me, dude. So by spending the higher rate, by spending 50K or 60K or 100K on a website, now you are speaking to trusted people. You're working with trusted people that are going to get the job done. So that's the way I would frame it. When you are performing at a certain level and you talk to people at that level, that sort of expertise is very much appreciated, especially when you're selling something like a website where it's very easy for them to go and get any site for like $200, $300. So that's the way I would frame it. If you want more details on that, I would actually check out Agency Action Plan for the cheaper sites or Email 10K for the more expensive sites. All right, Matthew Miller says, what are the biggest mistakes you see salesmen make? What are the biggest mistakes you see salesmen make? Number one, actually the number one biggest mistake that I see salespeople make is getting lazy when their life is going good. So for instance, let's say you're grinding hard, you're doing, an hour, 2 hours of cold calling every day, you're doing an hour, 2 hours of cold emails, you're sending your proposals, you're doing super good, but then you're doing really good, like you're on track to hit your numbers, everything's going great, and you start thinking you're a superhero. You start thinking that these sales are just happening by themselves without you having to do any inputs, and you forget the work. So what happens a lot of times is when things are good, when the money's coming in, a lot of sales guys will slack off and they'll stop doing the basic stuff. They'll think they don't need to do cold email because their numbers are going to get hit. And what happens is you don't see the negative impact of that right away. Right away, it seems like you're a superhero. You've figured out the master stroke, how to save 10 hours a day. You just don't do any of the work and you get all the rewards. But what you find out is 3 months in, 4 months in, 3 months in, 4 months in, all of that dries up. And you lose numbers. The numbers start crashing again. And it's because you didn't put in the work. So the number one mistake I see salespeople make is they drop the basics the second they start seeing any success. And something that I try to avoid all the time. I'm always doing the basics, you know, always working what needs to be done. You know, sending tweets for me or whatever I do all day. You know, but I'm always doing the basics regardless of how the sales numbers are coming in. Kilber, what is up, man? How's it going? Kilber, you there? Kilber, you here? You have a question? Nope. Okay. So we'll keep going. Yash Agarwal says, I want to know, can we sell SEO auditing services to small to medium businesses? How much do you think we can typically charge for them? Yash, I'm talking more to the SDR, you know, sales development rep, professional salesperson crowd right now. But yes, you can sell SEO auditing services to anyone that gets most of their traffic from Google. How much can you charge? I mean, 4K a month, 6K a month, really like whatever you want, bro. 6 figures a year. It all depends on your value. The one thing I wouldn't do is charge like, you know, 150 a month. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, SEO is a great industry to be in because it takes a long time to see results with SEO. So clients will just let you run for months and months and months. So yeah, SEO is a great service to be in, great business to be in. All right, Mans, we already spoke. Anyone else want to ask questions? We can do it on Twitter. You can ask questions here in the chat, whatever you guys want to do. And of course, hop in Salesman X because Salesman X is the next big course from us, all about how to sell more, how to beat your sales quota, how to become the #1 salesperson at your company, and how to do it in the most effective way without any theory and without any wasted words. A lot of courses love stretching things out when they should be very, very quick. So that's what Salesman X is all about. It's actually daily and weekly action plans as well. Everything you should be doing every day, everything you should be doing every week in order to become the top salesperson in your company. Any other questions, guys? Feel free to ask them either on Twitter. You can request on Twitter, in the Twitter space, or in the YouTube chat here. You can feel free to ask away anything about sales, anything about closing, proposals, negotiation, getting promoted, how to ask for a raise, anything like that. All right, Mans, you're in again. Let's talk again. Mans, what's up? Mans, you there? Okay, Robert Jacobson says, hi, I just joined. I have questions regarding B2B large size deals. Yeah, go for it, Robert. Post your question here. Ricky says, hi, I'm a music producer. Do you think your cold email university will help me sell more beats via email? Actually, yeah. My little brother Joseph does beat sales via email, via Instagram DM, via cold call to his email list as well. So yes, mastering cold email, mastering pitching will actually help you sell beats online. And Joseph's making a living doing beat sales right now. Your personal workforce. I've done your email marketing course, and I've done a lot of email marketing ever since. Can you give me tips on where to offer my bulk email servers? Sorry, it's not connected to the topic. Anyone who uses email, you know, any sort of salesperson, SDR team, any of those guys will buy email marketing. Or if you're talking B2C, then email, you know, anyone who uses email there, like e-commerce companies, would be a good fit for you there. Robert Jacobson, feel free to write out the question here. And also anyone in the Twitter space, feel free to request, and I can put you up here on the floor. I can give you the floor. Your personal workforce. I don't like Upwork, Fiverr, etc. Me either, man. Fiverr and Upwork it's garbage. I said it was like McDonald's the other day, and people went kind of crazy on me. But it is like that. It's the lowest of the low, you know, especially when you're hiring marketing services on Fiverr, because if you can't figure out how to market yourself in a way that's not plugging into a directory, then are you even that good at marketing? My question, you know. Pitch your services directly. Super Saiyan, what's good, bro? What up, bro? How's it going? Feel free to request speaking in the Twitter space as well. And keep the questions coming, guys. Let's go. We've been at it for about a half hour. Maybe we'll keep going. How you guys doing? So yeah, feel free to ask any more questions about sales, closing, negotiation, working with Fortune 500. You know, my first year in agency sales, I wrote proposals for all the senior guys. I booked myself solid. I've worked with funded startups, small companies, major Fortune 500s like Hearst and Tyson Foods, like major Fortune 500 companies, as major as you can be, you know, one of the 500, a couple of those. And so feel free to ask whatever you want. Let's go. You know, and I did it all as an introvert. I had to train myself how to sell. This is not inbuilt, as you could probably tell by just listening to me. But luckily, what's cool about tech sales is you can be a little introverted, and it actually makes you seem more trustworthy because it makes you seem like you're more of a coder or more of a craftsman. And so I think one of the main reasons I was able to sell so much as I did with the vibe that I give off is because we were selling software and we're selling marketing where nerdiness actually wins, you know, and awkwardness wins a lot of the time. So Robert Jacobson, in the B2B context, how do you set up a good cold sequence, or how would you approach someone to sell them a hardware product that costs $50K plus for a single purchase / product? Robert says, complicated question, feel free to ignore. I would just, my question there is, what is the hardware product? Because I would approach them the same way I approach anyone else, which is lead with the benefit of what you do, right? Whether it's a hardware product, software product, whatever, agency service, it all comes down to what benefit are you providing to the person. Another good thing I would do is talk in terms of case studies, right? What's a good cold email sequence? I would talk about, you know, what the benefit of the thing that you offer is. And then number two, talk about what you did for somebody else and the results that you gained using the hardware product. That's that. Super Saiyan, I tried sending cold emails to 2,500 people from a list I got back from a call center, only got around 127 replies back. What's that? 127 off 2,500 is not good. Was that a 5% reply? Yeah, Super Saiyan, I would build targeted lead lists. Don't buy lists from people online. Use services to build those, you know, list building services or just people on Upwork. And make sure the lists are generated manually. Make sure that they're being checked as well, you know, verified so that they don't bounce. Because 127 replies back means either the open rate was crap because your subject line was bad, or your email was crap, or the leads were bad. One of those three things. If one of those three things is true, that would lead to the low response rate. So you can go back and you can fix all three of those. Zachary says, hey man, love your content. I'm coming from door to door and starting my first SaaS job next week. Any advice for someone new on the scene? Yeah, hop into Salesman X. My advice to you is going to be, you're going to hit the phones. You're going to be sending emails. You're going to have to work harder than any other salesperson at the company. You know, hit the phones. Make sure that you're actually doing your dials, because cold calling works surprisingly well now. I'm talking, you know, good connect rates. And once you connect with someone on a cold call, if you get past that first, you know, couple sentences and they're a qualified person, you're going to book a meeting almost 100% of the time. So cold calling works surprisingly well. I know it's tough to do, but that's my number one piece of advice, is make sure that you set a daily goal for calls and set a daily goal for cold emails and cold DMs. I would do the full omni-channel outreach. A lot of the time, what I'll end up doing, and what I recommend our sales team do, is cold call at least an hour a day, maybe 2 hours a day, cold email an hour or two a day, and then do omni-channel the rest of the time. And the way that I do omni-channel in B2B is I'll look at what social media platform they are active on. So I'll put in their name on like Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and I'll see which one they're active on. Typically, it's not them posting. A lot of times it's them liking posts. But let's say they're on LinkedIn liking posts, then I could come in and I could like the same post. So maybe they'll see my name, or I could like their comment if they're leaving a comment, or leave a comment on the posts that I know they're liking, that I know they're seeing. So that's a way to do omni-channel outreach with people that aren't necessarily engaging on social media. And I would do that if you have your lead list, I would do that for an hour a day as well. Typically do it on like day 3. So day 1, I'd send a cold call, cold email. Day 2, I'd move on to new leads. And then day 3, I'm cold calling, cold emailing new leads, but then also omni-channeling, doing the social media engagement for leads on day 1. And then I'm just cycling over and over and over again. Amar says, hello, Alex. I'm going to do freelance web design. Is there a lot of money to earn? Yeah, there's a lot of money in everything, Amar. You can make millions of dollars a year doing web design. Just be open to learning and to pivoting your offer and to selling something people want. That's as simple as it is. Guys, in the Twitter space, feel free to request, and I can approve you. You can ask some questions. We can have a little bit of a back and forth here in this SDR training Q&A. You know, let's talk SDRs. SDR, by the way, stands for Sales Development Rep, and it's basically the basic job in most companies. It's sending cold emails, it's grinding, it's building your lead list, making cold calls, doing all the necessary stuff that the older guys don't want to do, but that is necessary for building any sort of B2B pipeline. Robert says, the part you mentioned I get, but how would you handle objections that circle around ROI for B2B products when the ROI is vague/complicated? Without knowing, Robert, what's your actual product? I can help you if you tell me what your actual product is, because the vague question doesn't help. Because just based on this vague thing, if you're saying the ROI isn't there and it's hard to sell, I would just literally sell something else if you could. You know, there's no reason you should sell something that's hard to sell when you could sell literally anything. Pick anything. But yeah, let me know the offer and I can help you there. Parth says, I've had almost 5 to 6 meetings, but everyone says at the end of the meeting to send a proposal, but after it, no one really gives an answer or even follow-ups. What should I do now? Parth. So the way to send a proposal is you book the follow-up meeting first. Then on the day of that meeting, about 5 minutes before, you finally send the proposal. I have never had a client where I've sent the proposal days or weeks before end up closing. Never. In all of the, let's say, thousands of proposals I've sent, if I send the proposal days before the meeting, that close does not happen. So what you want to do is send the proposal even like the minute of. You don't want them to go through, because we measured this. We used to send out PDFs tracked using a tool called ToutApp. And what that tool did is it showed you when people opened up the PDF, what pages they actually read. And we would send these long B2B proposals, like 25, 30 pages. An example of one is inside Salesman X. But we would send these long proposals, and what we found is people would read the first page, then they would scroll as fast as they could down to the last page with the pricing, and then they just wouldn't respond or they'd ghost us, etc. You know, because when you're selling an app for $125,000 or $250,000, that whole process of talking about the team, going through the bios, talking about their problems, talking about the scope of the app, all of that is so important. Too important to have the client see the proposal with you not there to contextualize everything that's going on. So that's what I would do, is just make sure you send your proposal way later in the sales process. Guru says, what's a free way to call except WhatsApp voice call? I'm from India. I don't know of a free way. I've been using, and our Indian team for cold calls has been using Skype. It's like $15 a month or maybe $20 a month for unlimited calling. To the US, you can also use Google Voice. It's similar pricing, like $20 a month. You're gonna have to spend some money to make stuff happen, all right? I know $20 a month might be a lot for you, but like, you gotta make it happen, all right? Your personal workforce says, where do you find your VAs or callers? How much calling do you do yourself? How much do you outsource? I'm talking about your own company, not your clients. So for my own company, I don't do any cold calls anymore. The only reason I do cold calls or would do them is when I'm putting together a sales training product and I want to test whether a script works. I'll do some calls myself. But most of the time, I'm hiring people to do the calls. The Indian caller I use is a guy on our team called Ankit Patel. And the American caller that I've been using is my little brother Terrence, because he's been crushing it with his cold calls. So I just use people from the team. I've tried hiring cold callers on Upwork, and they're very expensive for what they are. You'd have to negotiate a really good deal to hire cold callers off of Upwork. The problem with having cold callers that aren't sitting there in the room with you is that you can't watch what they do. So a cold caller, for instance, could bill you 8 hours, 9 hours, and only put in, you know, an hour of work, and you'd have no idea. They'd send you the document, like you'd have no idea. I did, however, I hired a Filipino guy, Regil Matelka, when I was at the very first company where I said I was doing all the cold calls. After I got sick of that, in about 4 months, I hired him, paid him $12 an hour, and he was able to do basically as well as I did. So hiring somebody to do your cold calls for you is very doable. And I was doing it, I didn't have permission to hire anyone to do the cold calls for me. I just figured, you know, he could do it for cheaper than my salary. And I was right. You know, and I was coasting so hard through the job once I cracked the code with Regil. That's why I remember his first and last name. Like, Regil served me well, all right, for $12 an hour. Served me well. Personal Workforce says, Skype is only $4 a month for unlimited US calling. Yep, exactly. I love Skype. Super cheap. And you can cold call from India. You know, it just requires practice, and we've done it inside our courses as well. Here's a tip for cold callers that are cheap. Native speaking callers in Facebook groups. You can also post ads on Craigslist in Tijuana and also get natives. That sounds like theory, which I can't plus one theory. I don't plus one ideas that sound cool. Only ones that are, you know, proven in the world. Kilber, you ready to ask your question? Let's go. Kilber, you here? Kilber, are you here? By the way, keep asking questions, guys. Let's keep this going. This is getting good. While we're waiting, Salesman X. I'm actually really proud of how Salesman X turned out. It's everything I wish I had when I was on a sales team. Basically every single thing that I wish I had. How to follow up, what to do every single day, how to make sure that I hit my numbers, even when my sales manager was more focused on the sales goal, the sales number, than how to actually hit that goal. So everything I wish I had on the sales team is here inside Salesman X, which you can get at salesmanx.com. It's a pre-order. It's $247. Eventually it's going to be over $500, or at least over $450 for this course. So hop in when you can, salesmanx.com. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Any more questions? Robert Jacobson says, really loved your answer regarding proposals. Anything else that surprised you or you learned when dealing with proposals? Yeah, so a lot of people say long proposals aren't the move, and they try to do one-page proposals. And we've sold with one-page proposals as well. What I found is if you want to do a six-figure deal with an enterprise-level company, there's a reason why you're going to send a 30-page proposal, 40-page proposal, all right? The proposal is going to be passed around. If you send out a one-page proposal to a Fortune 500 company, they will laugh you out of the room. You're not going to get a follow-up. So what we do in our longer proposals is we make sure we have literally bios of everyone on the team. We have the actual specs of the software that we're building, a lot of times screen by screen by screen, and talk about all the back-end stuff, the APIs, exactly how it's all going to fit together in detail. We have our pricing broken out in detail. Every single thing that they could possibly need, where the proposal is selling the service for us. It's like being in the meeting with us. That's why when we do big deals with large companies, we do 30-page proposals, 40-page proposals. Not because we don't know how to write a one-page proposal. And in fact, it works well for SMBs to do a short proposal or even sell off bullet points in an email. But for major corporations, you need those longer proposals. Karen, how do you do market research to find untapped niches? You're going to love whatever course we're coming out with soon. We have a whole course on niches coming soon. Guru Computer Center says, thank you. You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Feel free to request, and we can continue chatting here. Let's give it a minute. All right. Any other questions? Anyone? I'm not going to say Bueller. I already said it. Bueller. All right, guys. Hope you had a great night. Actually, it's morning in PST. Hope you have a great day, great Monday. Go out there and crush it today. You're going to do great. If you want to become the top salesperson on your team, check out Salesman X. You can get it for 40% off as a pre-order right now at salesmanx.com. Beat your quota, destroy all of your competition, accelerate your sales team, always be closing. Salesmanx.com. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.